study our next chapter of physics, theory of relativity. We know that classical mechanics, or also called as Newtonian mechanics, deals with the motion of bodies that they are traveling with very less velocity compared to the velocity of light. According to this Newtonian mechanics, fundamental concept of physics such as space, time and mass, they are absolute quantities. According to classical mechanics, are also called as Newtonian mechanics, the fundamental concepts such as space, time and mass, they are absolute quantities. Classical mechanics or Newtonian mechanics deals with motion of bodies which are traveling with very less velocity compared to the velocity of the light. Then next we should know what is relative speed. Consider one body traveling in the medium with the velocity say 10 meter per second. Similarly, another body is traveling with velocity 8 meter per second. You may ask, what is the relative speed between these two bodies? The relative speed between these two bodies is 10 minus 8, that is 2 meter per second. If one body is at rest, say assume that second body is at rest, now your relative speed becomes 10 minus 0, that is 10 meter per second. The relative speed is nothing but difference in the velocity. Then we should know what is ether hypothesis. We know that material medium is necessary for the propagation of waves. It was considered that light wave travels through a medium called ether as the sound wave travels through an air medium. So what is this ether? Ether is invisible medium, pervades everywhere in the universe. Means that medium is present everywhere in the universe. So if we could measure the velocity of the earth, it is earth, if you could measure the velocity of the earth with respect to that stationary ether. Now our aim is to measure the velocity of the earth or to find out the relative speed between earth and the stationary ether. In the ether medium, we can choose a fixed frame of reference. Then with respect to this fixed frame of reference, we can measure the motion of all bodies. So, waves requires a material medium for their propagation. It was considered that The light wave requires a material medium which pervades everywhere in the universe. That medium is called as ether. As we know, the sound wave travels through an air medium. Ether present everywhere in the universe, at every point in the universe which we cannot see. If we could measure the relative speed between the earth and the ether, in the ether medium we can choose a fixed frame of reference. Then with respect to this fixed frame, we can measure the motion of all bodies. In 1887, a scientist known as Michelson has tried to measure the relative speed between the earth and the stationary ether with an instrument known as a Michelson interferometer. They will ask in the examination this as a 10 marks question. So in 1887, Michelson has set out an experiment to measure the relative speed between the earth and ether with an instrument called as Michelson interferometer. Then what is the principle of Michelson interferometer? So, due to the time difference between the light travels along and opposite to the direction of the earth, there is a shift in the fringes in the Michelson interferometer. What it means? Assume that the light is traveling in this direction. Earth is traveling with this direction with the velocity of the light v. To some distance, light travels along the direction of motion of the velocity of the earth, and also it travels opposite to the direction of the motion of the earth. It gets reflected back. So for these two paths, there is a time difference. So due to this time difference, there is a shift in the position of interference fringes observed in Michelson interferometer. The principle of this Michelson interferometer lies in the shift of interference fringes. Due to the time difference between the light traveling along and opposite to the direction of the motion of the earth. Then what is the Michelson interferometer? Michelson interferometer consists of a monochromatic source S and a half silvered glass plate. It is half silvered glass plate P is placed at an angle of 45 degrees to the direction of motion of the light. That means this is kept at 45 degrees. Then there are two mirrors M1 and M2. They are placed perpendicular to the direction of the light and also perpendicular to each other. And there is a telescope P to observe the interference fringes. So this is the construction of Michelson interferometer. That means it consists of a monochromatic source, and to this monochromatic source a half silver glass plate P is placed with an angle of 45 degrees. Then M1 and M2 are two mirrors. They are perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the light and also perpendicular to each other. Then T is the telescope to observe the interference fringes. Then, how it works? See, light travels from monochromatic source S and falls on a half silvered glass plate kept at an angle of 45 degrees to the direction of light. And this light enters the half silvered glass plate, gets reflected back and travels in the direction of or travels towards the mirror M1. And from that mirror M1, it gets reflected back. This is one path. Another portion of this light from the monochromatic source travels straight from P to A, and there it gets reflected back, and both these two light waves travels towards the telescope. The light of coherent sources, superposition of coherent sources takes place, produces an interference fringes. So I will repeat once again, light from the monochromatic source S falls on a half silvered glass plate P kept at an angle of 45 degree. Part of the incident light gets reflected towards the mirror M1. Once again it is reflected back and reaches the point P. And the remaining portion of the light is transmitted, and once again it suffers the reflection at mirror M2 and gets reflected back, and these two and this, they together travels towards the telescope. Since the two are the coherent sources coming from the same source, superposition of the two waves takes place, produces an interference fringes. Then, next we have to calculate what is the time difference between these two waves reaching the telescope. Now, light traveling towards mirror M1 has passed 3 times this glass plate P, but which is traveling towards the A has passed only once. How it is? See it, light from monochromatic source S falls on the half silvered glass plate, it enters one time, sent back second time, then it gets reflected, and finally it emerges 3 times. Then compared to this, in other words, the light PB and PA will not travel the same distance because this suffers the 3 times. To compensate this, and another mirror is placed somewhere here which is not shown in the figure. To compensate the path between PB and PA, a compensating mirror is placed which is not shown in the figure. Let this PB is equal to PA, which is same as distance d. Both of them are at the same distance. Then you know that time, velocity is equal to distance upon time. Then your time is equal to distance upon velocity. You have to remember this. Throughout, we should remember this relation. Say let the light is traveling from P to A. Again it come back from A to P. If V is the velocity of the earth, which is the velocity of the apparatus also, means along the motion of the earth, apparatus is also moving, then ether is at rest. And C is velocity of the light. Then the relative speed of this when the light is traveling from P to A is C minus V. And after reflection from A, it sent back. Now the relative speed becomes C minus of minus V. This is C plus V. And total time taken by that light to traverse from P to A to P is given by, say this is T is equal to distance upon velocity while it is traveling towards, this is what your D upon C minus V. And when it is returning, plus this is D upon C plus V. Then you calculate this one. This is T is equal to dC plus dV plus dC minus dV divided by C minus VC plus V. This is C square minus V square. Or this is T is equal to, so this minus dV and plus dV cancels, 2dC upon C square minus V square. Or this is T is equal to 2dC. You take that C square outside, C square, then it becomes 1 minus V square by C square. This C get cancels with this one. This will be your 2D upon C. This is 1 minus V square upon C square to the power minus 1. You know that from mathematical rule this minus 1 can be taken here. This can be written as, this is T is equal to, it is 2D upon C into minus 1 into minus is plus 1 plus V square by C square. Call this equation as 1 by neglecting the terms with the higher orders of V square by C square. Now this equation 1 gives the time taken by the light to go from P to A to P. Now consider another ray which is traveling towards the mirror M1. See, the light which is traveling towards the mirror M1 will not hit at B, but it hits at B dash, because the earth is traveling with the velocity V. So when it is directed towards point B, it goes in this direction and hits the B dash. Because of the velocity of the earth, the mirror shift from point B to the point B dash. Now, the light hits at B dash, it goes along P B dash, again it returns, hits at P dash. This also shift from P to P dash because of motion of the earth. Now total path traveled by the light is P B dash, then P dash, P B dash, P dash. Then what is this P B dash? You know that distance is equal to velocity into time. If t1 is the time taken, c is the velocity of the light, let t1 is the time taken to reach the point B dash. It is just that equation is velocity is equal to distance upon time. So velocity is equal to distance upon time, P B dash is equal to Ct1. Then I said that mirror moves from B to B dash because earth is moving with the velocity v. Therefore, this is B B dash is equal to v into t1. Then from Pythagoras theorem, P B dash square, P B dash whole square is equal to PC square, PC square plus B dash C square, B dash C whole square. You know that P B dash square is Ct1, this becomes C square and T1 square. This is equal to PC. PC is nothing but B B dash, but B B dash is what? Vt1. So V is velocity of the earth. This is V square into T1 square. Then plus B dash C. B dash C is same as BC, BP is same as PA, that we have taken it as D, small distance. This is D square. Then from this equation you take this outside, it is T1 is equal to square root of D square is D divided by this becomes C square minus V square, square root of C square minus V square. So this is the time taken by the light to reach from P to B dash. It takes that same time to move from B dash to P dash. Total time is, if this is T1 and this is T1, so total time is 2T1. Therefore, your total time is 2T1, and if this total time is 2T1, this is T is equal to, this is T is equal to 2 times T1 is D upon square root of c square minus b square. Then this is t is equal to 2d. Take this c square outside. This is c square. It becomes c. Square root of c square is c. And this is 1 minus v square by c square raised to half. Raised to half because this is square root. Or this is t is equal to your 2d upon c into 1 minus v square by c square raised to half. And take this half minus half. Take this minus half inside. This becomes plus. Therefore, your t is equal to 2d by c into 1 plus half v square by c square. Call this equation as 2. Of course, once again neglecting the higher orders of v square by c square. So what is this equation? 1 represents the time taken by the light to go from S to P, P to A, again A to P. Then this equation 2 represents time taken by the light to go from P to B dash, B dash to P dash. Now the time difference delta T is equal to T minus T dash. You know that T is the time taken by the light to go from P to A and A to P. T dash is the time taken by the light to go from P to B dash, B dash to P dash. Then both will enter the telescope with this time difference delta T is equal to T minus T dash. Now your T is 2D upon C into 1 plus V square by C square minus T dash. This is 2D upon C into 1 plus half V square by C square. Take 2D by C outside. Now this is 2D upon C, and inside the bracket we have 1 plus V square upon C square minus 1 minus half V square upon C square. This plus 1 and minus 1 get cancels. This is V square by C square is one quantity, half V square by C square is another quantity. This minus this will give half V square by C square. That means it is 2D upon C into half V square by C square. So 2 to get cancels. This is equal to, it is, sorry, this is equal to dd, 2 to get cancels, dv square divided by c cube. This is the time difference. And what is the path difference? Means distance traveled. So distance traveled by the light, you know that velocity of the light into that delta t. This is c into your delta t is dv square upon c cube. This becomes, it is dv square upon c square. This is what distance. Then effective path. When a light of wavelength lambda is used, then effective path is given by effective path is equal to dv square upon lambda c square, where lambda is the wavelength of the light used. That means this part is represented by delta is equal to dv square upon lambda c square. Then with this position of the interferometer, the position of the fringes is noted. Means when this is M1 and M2, they are at same places, interference fringes are noted. When this interferometer is rotated through 90 degree, then after this experiment, we have to rotate that interferometer such that PM1 becomes parallel to the velocity of the light. So if it is rotated, it comes in this direction. Then in that case, the path P1 must be greater than path PM2. That means PM2 shift PM dash it is. PM dash. PM2 correct, it is what it is, PM2 greater than PM2 by how much amount? By the same amount it becomes greater. Therefore total path difference becomes 2. That means it is, after rotation, it is dv square by lambda c square plus dv square upon lambda c square. This is equal to 2 dv square upon lambda c square. This is after rotation. This was before rotation, then after rotation interferometer through 90 degree, we got this 2 dv square upon lambda c square. Then if you substitute, Michelson has tried by increasing the distance d up to 11 meter, and you know that velocity of the earth is 3 into 10 raised to 4 meter per second. Lambda is 6 into 10 raised to minus 7 meter wavelength of light, and you know that c is equal to 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. By using these data, the shift in the fringes was expected to be 2 dV square upon lambda c square. This should be about 0.4. Theoretically it is. So if you substitute the value of d, v, lambda and c, the shift f in the fringes x was expected to be 0.4. But the same thing when it is observed through the interferometer. When they have observed this shift through the interferometer, they could not detect the fringe shift up to 0.4, then hardly the shift was 0.01 of the wavelength. What was expected by theoretical value? 0.4. But when they observed through this interferometer, shift was only 0.01. That means it is not possible to measure the relative speed between the earth and ether using Michelson interferometer. They have tried this experiment at different regions of the space and the different places, at different places and different season, but they could not detect any noticeable shift in the fringes. This shows that it is impossible to measure the relative speed between the stationary ether and the motion of the earth. So, Michelson-Morley experiment gave a negative result. Means the shift was expected to be of 0.4, but they have not detected the measurable shift in the position of the fringes. Therefore, it gives a negative result. It is impossible to measure the relative speed between earth and ether.